The Woodsman's Companion. In a dense forest tucked away from the reach of civilization, a man named Caleb lived a quiet, self-sufficient life. His only companion was a loyal dog named Timber, a shaggy, amber-eyed shepherd mix who had been with him for years. Caleb had moved into the woods after the clamor of city life left him yearning for peace and purpose. His cabin was modest but sturdy, built with his own hands on a clearing by a glistening stream. Around it were rows of vegetables, stacks of neatly chopped firewood, and a hammock tied between two tall pines. Caleb and Timber lived by the rhythm of nature, the chirping of birds at dawn, the rustle of leaves in the wind, and the howls of distant wolves at night. Caleb wasn't lonely. The forest had become his sanctuary, and Timber his family. Each morning they ventured out together to check traps, gather herbs, or chop wood. Caleb spoke to Timber as if he were a fellow human, sharing his thoughts, dreams, and stories. The dog seemed to understand, tilting his head at the right moments and wagging his tail in encouragement. One winter evening, a fierce storm rolled in. The wind howled like a restless spirit, and snow began to fall in heavy sheets, blanketing the forest in white. Caleb secured the shutters and fed the fire in the hearth, its warmth battling the encroaching chill. Timber curled up by his feet, his ears twitching at every creak of the cabin. Suddenly, a faint cry broke through the storm. Caleb froze, listening intently. There it was again, a human voice, weak and desperate. Grabbing his coat and lantern, he looked at Timber, who was already on his feet, alert and ready. "Let's go," Caleb said. They trudged into the blizzard, the snow blinding and the cold biting. Timber led the way, his keen senses guiding them. After what felt like hours, they found the source of the cry. A young woman, barely conscious, huddled beneath a fallen tree. Caleb lifted her gently, wrapping her in his coat. "You'll be all right," he said softly, though his heart raced. Timber stayed close, his warm body pressing against Caleb's leg as if offering strength. Back at the cabin, Caleb worked quickly to warm the woman by the fire, feeding her hot broth and wrapping her in blankets. She whispered her name, Layla, and explained how she had gotten lost while hiking. Timber sat by her side, his eyes filled with a quiet understanding that seemed to soothe her. Over the next few days, as the storm raged on, Layla recovered. Caleb found himself enjoying her company, her laughter filling the cabin with a warmth he hadn't realized he'd been missing. When the skies cleared, she insisted on leaving to find her way back to the town. "You saved my life," she said as she stood at the edge of the clearing, her pack slung over her shoulder. "It was Timber," Caleb replied with a smile, scratching the dog's ears. She laughed. "I won't forget either of you." As Lila disappeared into the woods, Caleb felt a pang of loneliness he hadn't known before. But Timber nudged his hand, grounding him. Together they returned to the quiet rhythm of their life in the woods, though now Caleb found himself wondering if one day someone else might join their little family. Until then, he had Timber, and for Caleb that was enough.